Chapter 4. Anger Management. Scene 35. Bethany's office, downtown Tower, Act 1. Wednesday, the 16th of December, 2020. Henry rushed from the parking lot, through the front doors of the tower and to the elevators, already 3 minutes late for his appointment. Waiting on the elevator, he looked at his watch, then to the elevator and back again. In the elevator he called Bethany to tell her he'd be a little late, and as he approached the floor which he was to get off, she answered. She'd been watching the clock and listening for the door simultaneously. When the phone rang, she knew it was Henry, so she let it ring a couple of times so as to not appear too anxious.
Yes, this is Bethany. How may I help you?
She answered.
Hi, this is Henry. My appointment was for 11 o'clock, and I'm running a little late.
He said as he rushed to knock on her door. As the receptionist unlocked the door and let him in, she asked him to have a seat and said, "I'll let her know you are here." When Bethany opened the door to the lobby, both of them looked at the clock. It was 11 minutes after 11. She shook her head in disappointment, and he, still breathing hard, bowed his head in shame. At first, she looked to a brighter side.
Come right in, Mr. Henry. I'm glad you could make it today.
He cheered up, thinking the worst had already passed, walked in her office and reclined on the couch for their session. He started out.
So, how have you been?
She answered with a question.
What makes you think it's all right to be late to our sessions? You know it's in your best interest to get all you can out of them.
He responded.
I don't think it's okay. It's just that there are so many other things I have to do on a daily basis that sometimes they take more time than had been originally planned. It's never my intent to be late, but don't we end up spending the same amount of time?
That's not the point.
She explained and continued.
You are never late to your business meetings and whatnot. You should take these sessions as seriously as them. There is nothing more important than your mental health, as I'm sure you are well aware. You can change the world with your unique perspective. The positive outlook we try to build up affects those around us as does our negative ones, but we don't want to think about the bad, so smile. At least you made it. Now let's begin.
Henry responded.
I thought we already had. I have another appointment after this one, so should I make the first move or allow you to?
He agreed to come to therapy sessions with Bethany if she agreed to play a game of chess with him during each session. Originally, he didn't think he needed any type of therapy, because he felt he was perfectly fine, but she studied psychology in undergrad before attending law school, so she knew or was persuaded to think everyone could use therapy and optimal mental health, like a cobbler his shoes or a writer their books. The military doesn't train without an intent to fight. We sell what we know. She knew psychology, and he knew strategy.
I'll go first, if you don't mind,
she said as she advanced a pawn. After Henry made his move, and she moved again, she asked casually but with great concern in her eyes.
So, how are you doing without Allison? We know how you feel about losing your money and files. You can create a new program, but you can't simulate love.
He made his move, and she made another, but when he picked up his knight, he held it and said reluctantly,
Do you think I could be experiencing some type of depression, or is it normal to put the campaign in front of everything as some type of shield?
As he placed his knight down, she brought out her queen and prepared to strike. She inquired,
Have you been in any type of meaningful relationship since Allison?
The question caught him off guard as he looked up from the board to see her staring at him for an honest answer.
The cartel was my family,
Henry began,
and I loved playing politics with them, but real life is not a game. They were using me like their pawn, even though I thought I was on the top of the world. Allison was a plus to my association with the opposition party within the cartel. Even though my pleas for amnesty failed, they shouldn't have, and neither should I have lost Allison.
Bethany looked away from Henry's eyes and back to the board with a disappointed look on her face. Was she falling for him and just in denial, or was he just another client who needed help with his depression? She couldn't allow a couple of dates, a birthday gift and some flowers to define what love was to her, but she couldn't help but think they were compatible. Nonetheless, regardless of her feelings for him, she had to suppress them. After all, she was a professional and he was too. He brought out his bishop, threatening her queen and being backed up by a pawn which would strike if his bishop was attacked. He felt secure in his winning the match. He gathered a little confidence, saying,
So, you see, I could beat a girl any day of the week.
She replied,
Yeah, but I'm a woman. You might have a more difficult time with me.
Bethany sacrificed one of her bishops, taking his. He took her bishop with the pawn that was guarding his, and she countered with her queen taking his pawn. Back and forth they went, each trying to eliminate the other's men from the board, until she took his queen with her knight.
Wait a minute, you said you were a beginner. It seems like every time I make a move you are ready for me. Are you that good, or am I outplaying myself?
He said.
You make it so easy to compete. It's like all I have to do is pick which man I want to take first. I might be lucky, but it seems as though you are not as good as your bluff.
She said.
I'm from Memphis.
He said.
We don't bluff.
Well, you could have fooled me, because if I moved right here with my rook, wouldn't that put your king in check?
She inquired.
I think we are getting too caught up in this game, and not focusing on the real reason I'm here.
He said as he disregarded the game and propped his feet back up on the couch. By then she was fully into the game and just waiting on the satisfaction which came along with winning. She had forgot about Allison, the money, the files, the program and any campaign which he had going. She was completely into him. She almost let him get into another one of his Eskimo jokes.
So, the Eskimo came into a bar in the middle of a classic Memphis winter, with his Siberian husky holding a spear he used for hunting, sweating profusely, asking the bartender, "Is there any way I could get you to turn the heat down?"
No, not this time.
She began.
We are here to talk about your temper and how we can find you alternative means of expression rather than resulting to violence.
He said.
I know, but I played high school football. It's hard for me not to think of ripping my opponents, limb from limb. It's like trying to teach an old dog new tricks. I won't say it's impossible, but I'd hate to be the old dog's teacher.
Hey, wait a minute. I was winning. Did you try to change the topic on purpose? I asked you, if I moved right here, wouldn't that put your king in check? You changed the topic to one of your Eskimo stories, and then
He cut her off.
So, you want to win the game and the argument too. Is there something I'm missing here? Becky used to do the same thing.
wait a damn minute. Don't you ever compare me to another woman, because I'm not like any of those who you associate with.
She said, almost out of character. He responded.
So, what? You think you are somehow different? You think you're better or something?
She replied.
Not necessarily better, but most assuredly different. Don't you think you are different from the cartel? Probably so, but not actually. That's why you lost your case, because deep down you are more a part of the collective than an individual, and the jury could tell. Sure, I might be a female, but I'm my own woman. I don't need any sisterhood to haze me into womanhood, physically or psychologically. Men do that enough, so just because I'm more of a woman than you are a man, don't downgrade my achievements because of your insecurities.
Hey, hold on. I didn't mean it the way it came out, but that tone in your voice lets me know you are different. I won't make that mistake again, and I know you see in me an individual other than what's being programmed in me through the cartel. That's why I need your help. But next session, could you try not to beat me up so bad in chess? This is kind of embarrassing. I thought you could teach me some things about psychology through therapy, and I could teach you some things about warfare through chess. It turns out that I know very little about either.
She replied.
Don't be so hard on yourself. You're a great guy, and any woman would be lucky to have you. You might be a little late from time to time. Just got sued for everything you own and have signs of depression from losing the love of your life, but all you need is someone.
Henry cut her off, asking.
Someone like you?
Like me? No, you're just into me, because we have good conversations, and I laugh at all your Eskimo jokes, but only part of that is true. The other part is flattery. I put on a mask that always smiles because deep down I want and even need to feel beautiful and right. So, you are attracted to a facade that has always been the finished product. If you saw me when I woke up or after having made it home from a long day's work, you might not be as impressed, because the last thing I'll be doing is smiling. When I smile, I invite others into my world, but when I frown or show indifference, I'm no longer willing to allow what gifts I can to you. In chess, when I planned my moves, I was frowning because you were my opponent, but if we were playing the computer or another opponent, I would smile as I tried to persuade you of my preferred move, even if it was the wrong move, though I thought I was right.
Bethany said as her receptionist buzzed into our session, letting her know her 12 o'clock was in the waiting area. Henry couldn't believe his hour was up, asking for just a little more time.
But it was just getting good. You mean I have to leave now? When is my next appointment? Should I call? I won't be late next time.
As Bethany stood up to usher Henry to the door, he did everything except kick and scream to stay in the room. Bethany felt a bit of compassion as she hated having to end their session and wished they could talk more. She put her thumb to her ear and her pinky to her mouth, gesturing him to call her. He smiled, prompting hers, and he reached in for a hug, but as her 12 o'clock opened the door, she grabbed his hand and shook it. He left there thinking that's why he sang the Crimson Blues. Epilogue. Scene 36, Embassy Study, Act 1. Friday, the 25th of December, 2020.
We could finally relax. The campaign, even though it was difficult and downright scary at times, was successful. We generated enough revenue to reach our operating budget and made double that to give to charity. Life was good, but it seemed like winning was all I lived for. Whatever was I to do now? I needed a purpose for the sake of my tranquility. Politics was all I knew, and since Allison I had been missing that part of me that enjoyed a good laugh and the look of a soft smile looking back at me. Would I ever find that again, or was I doomed to wander the earth in search of something I knew I could never fully possess? When I got back to the embassy, I thought I'd crack open a book I'd been reading on American history, because without the strength which comes along with the sovereignty in dollars or pounds, little else is to be discussed. Once we find that love is a want, and not a need, back in the day many would seek solace becoming hermits, while their counterparts would find it in nunneries, but now in 2021 everyone works for a living making hundreds, while making their employers thousands, expanding the economic divide further. The principles that we hold dear when the founding fathers of this great nation.
The phone rang just as Henry was just about to start philosophizing on that sidebar. It rang again. He should have ended it long ago, but he said, it rang once more, and he got up to answer it.
Hello, this is Henry. How may I direct your call?
Hey, this is Marcus. Did you remember to start on that book I commissioned you to write?
The voice on the other end of the phone said. Henry asked.
You mean the book we were going to call Passing the Bar?
He said.
Yeah, I was just checking. I'm about to go to this game in a few minutes. I was just inquiring though. Give me a rough outline by Monday. Please, sir. Thank you. I would greatly appreciate it.
Okay, boss.
Henry said, but before he could ask if he had an extra ticket to the game, Marcus hung up the phone, and with everyone gone or about to leave, there was no way he'd make it to the game. He was flipping through the channels when the phone rang again.
Hello.
He answered in anticipation for some type of activity for the evening other than waiting lonely by the mistletoe with the fire burning low. It was Bethany, or should we refer to her as his therapist? He was completely puzzled about our relationship status. He didn't know what to call her. He said,
Hey Bethany, I mean Elizabeth, I mean Dr. King. How may I help you?
he was hoping she had some good news. She said,
Henry, I have a couple of tickets to the game this evening, and I was wondering if they could cheer you up.
he said,
I couldn't accept such a great gift without giving you something for them in return. Let me pay for them if you don't mind.
No, I couldn't.
she said, he said,
Okay, well why don't you just come with me? It would be the best gift I could receive. I need to interview you anyway on your take on my newest book for 2021.
What's it called?
she asked. He said,
Passing the Bar.
That sounds good.
she said,
I think I could help you on that subject. I'll be ready in 45 minutes. Have your recorder ready.
Great, I'll see you then.
he said. So, what was that? How was he supposed to take that? She could be anybody from a future wife to a crazy stalker. That's why he'd be happier when he's in love, so at least his mind will be settled as best as it could be. But anyway, he was tired of talking about something that's not his to give. Is this it, or is he just fooling himself again? Love is not a two-way street, and money doesn't grow on trees, he thought.
Would somebody please attack?
The End. By Henry Moss. Based on a true story. Names have been changed to protect the innocent, and no animals have been harmed in the creation of this production. Thank you for your time and consideration. Credits. Cast Chain of Command. Starring Mossberg the Rapper. Chief Executive Officer, Becky Beauregard. Public Relations Director, Victor Norman. Legal Advisor, Elizabeth King. Information Technology Specialist, Christy Christian. Fashion Design Analyst, Robert McDonald. Executive Accountant, Charity Franklin. Marketing Analyst, Alison Presley. General Manager, Hilary Halliburton. Production Manager, Michael Jackson. Audio and Voice Production Manager, Hope Washington. Producer, Winston Upchurch. Editor, Dick Williams. Director of Sales, Faith Hamilton. Director, Henry Plantagenet. Administrative Secretary, Molly O'Malley. Supporting Cast. Barber 1, Tom Jefferson. Barber 2, Kyle Martin. Basketball Challenger on Phone, Jonathan O'Neill. Cameraman at Mid-America Mall 1, Jerry Nelson. Cameraman at Mid-America Mall 2, Angela Grant. Child with Remote Control Plane, Orion Connor. Customer at Henry's Haberdashery, Ben Reagan. Elderly Man Discussing Politics 1, Earl Thomas. Elderly Man Discussing Politics 2, Bill Williams. Embassy Producer, Peter Brown. Embassy Security, Scott Jefferson. Football Fan at K's Sports Bar 1, Chavez Cortez. Football Fan at K's Sports Bar 2, Albert Dodson. Football Fan at K's Sports Bar 3, Archie Edison. Football Fan at K's Sports Bar 4, Johnny McBride. Fraternity Brother at Golf Tournament, Greg Sanders. Fraternity Brother at Chess Tournament, George Mountbatten. Gardener, Ricky Ramirez. Judge, Jennifer Jefferson. Cartel Attorney, Luther Billings. Golden Labrador Bella. Law Offices of Moss Stewart and McDowell, Donald Truman. Lieutenant, Brian Scott. Man throwing frisbee to Labrador, Bob Roberts. Muslim friend, Ali Oliver. Old man at Prospect Community Gardens, James Bush. Owner of K's Sports Bar, Lawrence Lawson. Receptionist, Mary Battenberg. Rottweiler, Maximus Mossberg. Neighbor, Barbara Young. New participant, Michelle Harrison. Policeman Francis Johnson. Security officer at Racket Club, Mark Goldsmith. Tailor at Memphis Galleria, Stephen Kaufman. Venture capitalist, Marcus Donaldson. Vocal artist, Paul Carter. Waiter at French restaurant, Pierre LeBlanc. Waiter at Rivers Terrace, Harold Madison. Women power walking in Park 1, Lisa Adams. Women power walking in Park 2, Beth Oliver. Women power walking in Park 3, Stacy Pittman. Harry Windsor, Young Scholar 1. Mary Stewart, Young Scholar 2. Donavan Jones, Young Scholar 3. Sally Reese, Young Scholar 4. Chris White, Young Scholar 5.